I'm really into Prism's feet. Tarek made us nice meat. Maybe want to skeet, you know?
Kayfabe Cards, your ultimate destinations for all things tabletop in Riverton, Utah. Uniting enthusiasts under one roof, we proudly showcase Flesh and Blood, Pokemon, Magic, Weiss, and One Piece, a gateway into an exhilarating universe of gaming. Immerse yourselves in our diverse products, including a very squishy array of Japanese plushies and the excitement of Gashapon machines. Our expansive play area invites you to duel in epic battles and forge unbreakable bonds with your fellow players. We open our doors every day at noon, embracing a realm where cards come alive and unforgettable moments are forged. Come join us at Kayfabe Cards.
It's not just you. It's a thing that I can say as a UK player, lover, enjoyer, commentator, content creator, that Europe does have this feeling of, and it's just the way it is. We just don't have that guy. That's America's just the audience, right?
Right.
And Hayden Dale is also just mixed in with that because of Brandon is also in that audience, and you're in the audience, and DM Ahmad is also is that. Do you know what I mean? It's there.
No, I hear you.
It's all there,
but
right. So Hayden can bring in the Oceania area, that justice, that voice, and go, hey, this is what's happening in Australia and everything. So the Americans can go, sweet, cool. But there's just not a European thing apart from Pablo, right? It's like, oh, it's Pablo. Pablo is like, Europe is just Pablo's face. And that's how it feels.
Sure.
Not how it is, but it's how it feels. And I'm sure you guys, because I empathize, it's not like that. It's very difficult to know the stories because you're not there, but you know what you know.
So this is my critique, which is my response to this. And if you're cool, if you're cool putting this on,
I'm cool. I'm happy because I have empathy.
Okay, we'll even forego all the intros and such. Either way, it's Hamish have pushed the point. It was supposed to be Simon. Simon unfortunately fell ill, and his good friend Hamish has jumped in heroically to deal with me. Apparently, the thought of speaking to me for an hour was so sickening to Simon.
Yeah, he said to me, "I can't bear to." Talk to Flake, it makes me sick.
Sure, and I agree. Trust me.
I'm joking.
You should speak to my ex-girlfriends.
Oh no,
that's a whole other podcast. So either way, what I want to talk about, I just want to jump into this because this is completely organic. This was not part of the show notes.
Welcome to the way we do things,
which is great.
I'm a guy that just shows up and just
yeah. Well, no, you're stirring the part. The thing about it is that for all the critique that I get for apparently being some American self-centered, can't see past my own borders, or what?
As a Canadian,
which is phenomenal.
I can see the irony.
Yeah, despite the fact that my mother was born in Poland, my dad is Italian, so I've been there multiple times. I speak the languages. I speak Polish. I speak some Italian. I speak Spanish. I speak French, and I speak English. But again,
fantastic.
Just centralized as an American, apparently. Why is it my responsibility to put spotlight on your area? And I'm not saying that I don't want to. I'm just saying that you're talking about how Hayden does a good job putting a nice spotlight on Australia, New Zealand, that area. I am located where I'm located. I have access to the people that I have access to. And I think I have done a fairly good job of, in the past, since I rebranded Instant Speed, 50% of my episodes have been of people not from this continent. It is featured all over the world. But still, apparently it's my responsibility to pump the tires of everyone else, which I'm happy to do. The limit is that I can do it once per week. But why aren't, and this is not a criticism to you specifically, but why aren't you doing that? Why is it that it's my responsibility to shine light on the entire world as equally as I can, wherein somebody could easily do it from Europe, from Asia, from wherever, put the spotlight, do the work, make it happen. I mean, it's not on me. I merely, like that's part of it. And again, I say this with tongue in cheek because I happily do it, and I try to speak to as many people across the globe as I can. It just so happens that based on scheduling and based on availability, accessibility, when you're on the other side of the planet, nobody is available with when you need them to be, and that is life. And ultimately, it's just funny that here you are from the UK and connecting with me.
I mean, I just forced my way in, right? I sat there and went, I'm sick of this, right? Whoever you had on, which was meant to be Simon, right? And I said to Simon, I'm sure Blake, the American from Canada, is just going to get another American dude on. So I said, let's just hijack this conversation right now and just set this record straight, yeah? Because and we never got the invite.
But it was.
So I can, jokes aside. Jokes aside, I think it's more down to how people feel than how it actually is, right? Because I can say, and when you're saying who's doing that, well, we're trying, No, we're trying.
I know
we're from Push the Point from the UK.
You guys are doing an exceptional job, and
thank you.
And it's not just you, and I don't mean to interrupt you.
It's not just us.
That's the thing, and again, it's just I think that there's just this big outcry of, well, what about us? And you're right, what about you? And unfortunately, I can't. I just think that a lot of this comes to the fact that just not a couple of weeks ago there were so many tweets and such about how there needs to be.
Sit on my chair, Flake. Come on, tell me.
I would love to. Hey, man, sometimes this needs to be a little bit of a therapy session for me. Mm-hmm. And Hamish, I think that you have not only the soft rapport of, but I think that you're
stomach.
But it's just funny because there were so many voices out there saying, yeah, there needs to be more focus on elsewhere, and this North American centric view needs to stop.
Oh, I tell you what, I did throw out that tweet. I did actually say, I put the tweet out as well, saying that and let's just be very clear. I think we're mixed. It's as per usual. Twitter just lacks context. It lacks empathy a lot as well.
Sure.
So. And everything just gets mixed in to this big pot, and in the end, like a mixture of lots of different ingredients, it mostly tastes like crap unless you actually, have the right stuff put in place.
That's like British food in general, right?
Yeah, exactly. You end up with a Sunday roast and you've heard of bubble and squeak, right? Bubble and squeak is basically the leftovers roasted.
Oh, that sounds like a 90s.
Really nice.
It's like a 90s hip hop group, Bubble and Squeak. That's what I think.
Oh yeah.
Opening for Salt and Pepper, yeah, for sure.
What it is most of the time is that Europe does genuinely feel like it has to work twice as hard to get the notice, and it is, to be fair, just kind of a little bit of it is what it is, right? And it's the same with Asia regions. It's the same with the all across the world. Like America, or North America specifically, is just really the market. It's where the audience, the mass amount of views an audience lives. If for every European content creator, I mean, I'll just throw out just like Gorgoni and Tommy's from Germany, and Sunflower Samurais, when they do their stuff and it's in English, and for ourselves, 50% of our audience is American, right? It's just, we know that America props up our views, it props up our subs, it props up everything, because our own hometown is just smaller, right? It's just the way it is. And when it comes to the argument around how do we get our voices heard and everything, it's mostly, I suppose, and I'm not going to speak for everyone, I'm just going to take my sort of view of it, is it's not so much the content creators specifically, I think it's just down to when it comes to big tournaments, right? Because the world stage most of the time feels like it's, it's some calling or a battle harden or a nationals that's happening in America. And a lot of the the big names of commentators like yourself, like Brian Gottlieb, like DM Amada, and so on and so forth, right? When it's just because the stage is so big and so grand, and a lot of the players are like, oh yeah, it's X who's this hero who's like one of the best, and you're trying to create a story and a narrative, which I know from doing casting myself. You trying to make that story and narrative of your area, and it's just because your stage is so big and so global, everyone just feels like, oh well, our area is really, really good as well, but it just never seems that we would ever get that thing. It's always, oh, they're the best in the world. And it's like, well, they played in an American event. It just feels that, and that's that feeling again. It's like the NFL, the greatest team in the world.
Yeah.
And it's like the only people who play in it, because there's no one else playing it, but the world champions
We're
of the Super Bowl is
the World Series. Yeah, like that's like,
yeah,
chill out. The World Series is like 7 cities. Like, relax. It's like there's like seven cities that are involved here.
It's kind of just like a, that's the sort of thing. And I suppose really it's not the game's fault. It's kind of just like, when you put in the context of a lot of everything culturally across the world, America is such a huge place. It's something that actually drives a lot of things to work. But when they then take the stage and they say, this guy is the best in the world, and it just feels like, yeah, it's just America again. And maybe we're wrong thinking and feeling that way as well.
I don't think you're wrong.
But there's an empathy on both sides,
sure,
right? Where I think we're both kind of right and wrong, where it's like, how are they supposed to know what's going on our end? What probably might be helpful when you're doing this right now, you've invited me on. It's, hey, we've actually got such a big audience, to tell stories to a larger array of people. What we should do is actually go, you're very good at getting people in your area to tell these stories in the European scene. We should just be saying, here's this guy to tell what's going on in the scene, rather than, why do I have to figure out what's going on in Europe? I'm probably not going to do the best justice, but we need to lift up other European content creators or voices of that area who will speak those stories on behalf of that area. For example, Hayden Dale does a fantastic job in New Zealand and Australia specifically, and he also references what's going on in Singapore and everything, and we're like, all right, yeah, because you would go to those areas. We're pretty clued up, and he's a large voice for that area, and he does a great job, as well as Tall Timmy, and they all get referenced a lot more as well in America. They get swept up into that scene and that culture, and it's like, oh yeah, it's Tall Timmy, oh yeah, it's this, but it's rarely you get a European, unless it's Pablo or maybe Matt Folks, that are the names that you just lean on them. But there's a lot more than that. So when it comes to those events, it kind of feels like, we're not just these two dudes, if that makes sense.
Sure, no, I hear you.
The biggest thing, and I still, for the dig, for the bants, I don't know, do you use the word banter?
We use banter. We don't shorten it because we're not lazy, but it's okay.
Yeah, well, that's us. So Shamir, in the last Pro Tour, was like, I think it was like 9th or 10th. He could have probably got into the top 8. And I can't remember which one of you commentators said, he was like, Shamir, I've heard he's doing very good at a lot of armories. And it's like, the guy was semi-finalist in Pro Tour Lille. And that just said it right there. We don't know that we had a semi-finalist Pro Tour guy in Lille, and he was close to getting into a top 8 in Pro Tour 3, and everyone just went, and the commentators, I can't remember who it was, said, he wins loads of armories. So we're all now going, it's Shamir, the armory guy.
which is fine. And again, like it's just fascinating to me because there's a lot of misconceptions, and I've heard this from people who
as an example.
Well,
I'm just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally get it. It's incredible because people think that we show up to a broadcast and get like this gigantic stack of every player's portfolio of everything they've done, when in reality,
Why don't you?
well, that's an excellent question. We show up, and if we get the hero that they're playing, it is a minor miracle. And again, this is
I know the feeling.
You absolutely know the feeling. And a lot of people think they're like, oh, it's Nats, it's this, it's that. They're going to come prepared and they're going to have nope. A lot of the times that's not the case. So when we're saying this person won this and did this and did that and did that, that's all memory, ladies and gentlemen. So if there's a name like Shamir, who I've met and is a friend of mine and I think is an awesome person, if I don't know their entire background story, I am oftentimes taken to task. Same thing with if I mispronounce a name that has like 18 consonants in a row. It's like,
oh no, I think that's like, you know, as it is. As a man with a name that everyone says Hamish, you know,
bastards,
I get it.
all of them.
Yeah. But I think there's a difference. When it comes to battle hardens, not battle hardens and nationals and callings in that region, cool. Go nuts. Like, it is that go nuts part of course they're going to just talk about a lot of the American players. It's an American event. That's completely cool. Pro Tours and Worlds, that's a unifying thing of the world is showing up now. So what we should be asking that question of is we do need to have that sort of talk about the stories of the world, because the Pro Tours were very much, you know, and Worlds, it did come across from a lot of viewers in our area of just felt like another American event that other people showed up to. Do you know what I mean?
No,
that's how it felt.
I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly agree that there needs to be focus on a lot of the other players and things like that. But again,
and some of the weird stories, but I don't know. That's not on you.
No, well, that's
sure. Not on you, is it? It's on it's on LSS to turn around and go, we do need to sort of actually have this opportunity to give other people who are doing this shot. And I'm not saying it's us. We've commentated the UK Nats and we've done the UK calling. Right? I'm not saying it's us. It just needs to be, you know, there's some people in Asia, there's some people in Europe that could step up to be like yourself and be that voice of that area and that region to commentate as a world's event. And then when it comes to those regions, it's down to those regions to get their ass in gear and actually sort out to, you know, to push that voice. And we're trying to do that in the UK specifically, you know, trying to tell those stories, trying to capture those players to showcase to the world. Whether or not anyone wants to listen, you know,
that's another story.
We can control, you know, that's, if it doesn't care, then they don't care, and that's the way it is. But you got to do it, right?
I've wrestled with that the whole time, which is will people listen and do they care? And ultimately, my approach to this program has always been, I'm going to put people on the show that I want to speak to. I'm not going to put, I will not bend to any pressure or anything like that. If there's a story or if there's a person or a personality that I want to speak to, I will speak to them. I'm not going to create this is possibly a misconception, and this might even sound a little bit brash, but ultimately, this is not anybody's program but my own, and I have no responsibility to anybody about what goes on this show. So if you don't like the fact that this is not, you know, that literally, and when I say 50% since the rebrand, you're the 10th episode since the rebrand. 5 of those 10 episodes have been from non-North American people, but the conversation is still that it's my responsibility to shine light on everybody else. And to that, I say, sorry, but it's not. It's not. Like, I don't know what else to say. I will do it, because I enjoy it, but don't crap on me because the player that you want on here is not on here. A lot of the times, for example, let's just pull the curtain back a little bit here. Yourself or Simon were obviously involved with UK Nets. I wanted you on
Mm-hmm.
the show to talk about UK Nationals, which is partially why you're here. Do I want to talk to you otherwise? Of course I do. But part of it is timing. And if I had you on 2 weeks ago, I'm not going to bring you on again this week. And that's
No, of course not.
right. And that's just the name of the game.
100%.
So
Original thing was actually we were trying to actually organize for the calling. We were trying to work out how we can, and then just because of the timing of everything, and then it got pushed forward to and then with UK Nets.
here
Now
we are.
Here we are.
hell yeah. So let's dive into this mofo. Why not? I think that we're 20 minutes into this bastard, and we haven't even said hello officially, I guess, but it doesn't matter because we're right into it. So
This is a standard me interview. I can tell you that for a fact.
But that's
can we call this UK Nats is cursed? Is that the title?
I think it is, but didn't 2022 have a fairly smooth go?
What, the Queen died, and we had to have a whole issue around the vet. We couldn't legitimately play because we were all in mourning, and then the trophy showed up and it said the English champion. We're cursed.
I didn't know that part. Now look, depending on who you ask, 2022 and the Queen dying may have actually been the redemption arc. Like that could have been. I don't know. I think the monarchy is absolutely stupid, but that's just me as a Canadian. We asked to leave, and they're like, "Yeah, see ya. It's fine." We didn't even start a war. We're just like, "Hey, can we just get the hell out of here?" And they're like, I didn't even know you were still here. So we're like, all right.
I was reading a lot of history about that, but we didn't come here to talk about the monarchy. But for some reason, the UK can't walk away from a nationals without just a bit of drama. Well, I don't know why. Twitter just shows up and goes, "Grrr."
All right. Well, there was drama, and we're going to get to that in a moment. But let's just go get through the not so naughty bits first.
No, that's all cool.
Katsu as the top seed, I think, is pretty rad as one of the OG heroes. None of the Welcome to Wraith heroes have essentially even gotten into the conversation. Dory as well. Dory was there, sure. No, but what I'm saying is, like, in terms of living legend, Welcome to Wraith heroes who have been here the longest accumulated all those points in the first year or two of the game, and now have been relegated to, I don't want to say they're just relics of the past, but they don't have the same access to these powerful cards that new talented heroes come in with. Katsu
it turns out Monarch and Tales of Aria had very pushed heroes with very pushed cards attached to it, which James has explained and completely makes total sense. That COVID is real, right? Makes testing incredibly hard, but those sets had a lot of time built into them, and they actually genuinely feel relatively good and fair. So they're fine heroes to play. We're just coming out of a very pushed 2 or 3 sets of Monarch, Tales of Aria, and Everfest. And even the Draconic heroes, they actually do struggle into dealing with the Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising heroes. They are genuinely weak to a lot of those approaches. And Icelander is just borrowing off Tales of Aria pushed cards like Channel 8 Frigid and all the other great cards that are in that set. She's kind of like a bit of an elemental hero herself. So I think once they're starting to be on their way, which they're very close to, I think we're going to be back into this world of, hey, you know what, actually?
I think you're right.
I don't know if I'm actually throwing you a question in there.
that's I think that's a fair conversation to have, because you're right. I think that there's a lot of gatekeeper style heroes, or heroes that were this plus more toys. So for example, Oldham was just Bravo with more cards. You know,
I don't. Every Tales of Aria hero card is just
incredible.
bonkers.
Yeah,
that set was nuts from the get go.
And now that you're saying that, like, a lot of these are going to be wheeling out, and we're going to see a resurgence, I believe. I strongly believe that Ninja, especially Katsu specifically, is going to reappear, and it might actually reappear more so as its old school control variant versus the aggro variant. And that is my prediction on that. I have a feeling that it's going to get some help in the next set or two. And
What do you know?
I
What
don't
do you know?
I don't know anything that I'm
Oh,
allowed to talk about. So I'm not
No,
going to say anything, but I will say
I
this.
think they're going to be. I think the opposite. I think they're going to. We need that aggro hero, right? And I think ninjas are just meant to be the red. That red line, really aggressive, like like James White said in multiple interviews with yours, and when he spoke to ourselves and stuff in the past, that Luminaris and Voltaire are just nutty, right? And when Briar and Chain can all have also just built in, we can just get this stuff go again, whatever, man. Weehoo! It's all go. It just go, man. It just feel kind of cracked and pushed in one way, and then you can see that Ninja was designed to be the hero that goes, we have go again. It's lower powered. It's long chains. That's how it's meant to be. These guys are aggro heroes to the core, right? And Flick Flack is a reason why Katsu and Ninja have this. Yeah, we can kind of be control, right? But then they printed Decimator Axe and just went, yeah, that's just going to completely annihilate that theory. So just do what you're really good at, right? And just make 6 chain links of hell. Yeah, that's what you're good at. That's what you're meant to do. That's your hero. And I think when everyone's kind of moved on, I think that honestly, the Ninjas will be back in the game of going, we're the litmus test of aggro. If you genuinely can't deal with us, you're going to have a real hard time. But we're the litmus test of aggro. If you want to just punch people in the face, play Fi. If you want to have a little bit more combo and interactions, but you could just flat full on your face if your hands don't line up. That's Katsu, right? They're your heroes. You like that? Go do that. And a lot of people do. And Katsu did it, right? He got into the top 8 of UK nationals,
which is incredible. And everybody was rooting for it. And ultimately, it came down to what was, like you said, the curse lives on of the
UK Pummel.
The Pummel that heard round the world, essentially. And I have my opinions of this because this again, when it happened, I was actually watching that game live. And I think I was doing something else. I was writing some notes or I was editing something. And then I noticed that there was a little, like the chat was very... As soon as you take a look at chat, you're already losing. That's the first order of business. If you look at chat, you're losing. But the second aspect was as soon as the conversation diverges to cheating and unsportsman conduct, I'm like, what happened? Did somebody make a mistake? And just
the internet arrived.
Correct. I want to just give context to exactly what happened. It was Harrison versus Jamie Faulkner. I forgot Harrison's last name, and I'm embarrassed to say so. Harrison on Katsu, Jamie Faulkner on Dromai. What occurred was there was a Tobaltai attacking Harrison, the Katsu player. There was a Pummel in Arsenal. There was a CNC in hand and means to pitch. What happened was he foregoed popping it with the CNC, returned fire with a CNC red Pummel. A sigil was played in response from Arsenal. There was no threat to the Arsenal. The Pummel connected for damage. What happened at the end of that was no card was discarded by Jamie Faulkner. The turn sequence ended. The turn flipped around. And then basically all hell broke loose to the degree of it was a missed trigger. Whose responsibility is it? UK Nats UK are filled with cheaters. This guy's a cheater. What a terrible human being. Whose responsibility is it? Where are the judges? Where are the commentators? The commentators are hacks. It's absolutely incredible the rabbit holes that these people spiral down.
I was sitting there behind because we're actually, as you know, what it's like as commentators is we're in this lovely little area, right?
Secluded. We're tossed away.
So, I just peeked over and looked at the chat. And as you go, everyone's going, just going absolutely crazy, right? And then the commentators immediately picked it up, right? We all sat there, but we, just got to talk through the play, right? And then they did sort of go, okay, yeah, the Pummel seemed to have been missed, and then I literally was there, ran round to the back, then over to the judge, and just I didn't want to interrupt their game. It was all good. They were just drawing up, and then just whispered, did you notice the Pummel? And he went, yeah, he missed the trigger. So I was like, right. So the judge saw it. Everyone came back and just went, yeah, they missed the trigger. That's it. It's just done. The judge spotted it. Jamie noticed it. Harrison noticed it. They both went, "Oh, whoops, what oh, so yeah, I missed the trigger. All right, cool, whatever,
Yeah.
And we just moved on. Everyone moved on, apart from the internet going,
Yeah. It was
just going crazy. It was like, oh, it is what it is. And then Tripp even pointed out and went, yeah, the trigger was missed. The judges spotted it. They all said, we will now move on. And that's it. And that was the game.
It was a big
Why
nothing
he didn't
sandwich.
pop the tumble tie. That was the only thing we were like, what? He didn't pop the tumble tie. That was the more head scratchy moment.
Agreed.
Yeah, fun fact. 2 semi-finals in the UK, a pummel was played and a trigger was not been played. I don't know what it is. The UK pummels just they're just not as strong as everyone else's. Please, LSS, can you fix this for us? The UK pummels don't seem to work here.
You need the cold foil ones. That's why.
We do. The judge ones, they come printed. Our ones just didn't come with the printed text.
They're so shiny that you can't even miss the text on them because they just catch your eye. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know.
But you're right. It was a giant nothing sandwich because where chat thinks that this is essentially, threat level midnight kind of craziness. What occurred was basically the pummel connected. Jamie did not discard a card immediately because the pummel trigger was not brought up. Jamie asked, "Is it my turn?" Harrison said yes. The turn ended. Then Harrison asked the judge and say, "I think I missed my trigger," and the judge said yes. So the judge was aware, Jamie was aware, and Harrison was aware, and life goes on. And what I liked about this was Jamie's discussion after the fact, the post-game interview where
which I'm sure a lot of people haven't seen, but if you have,
of course, because adding context to something would be heresy to some. But ultimately, what he said was, it's a top 4 of nationals. If someone misses their triggers, you don't give it to them. And I wholeheartedly agree. I absolutely wholeheartedly agree, because to the letter of the law of the rule book, the trigger of the pummel is the responsibility of the player playing it, and they have to declare the trigger. If you do not declare it, then it is your responsibility. If you declare it and your opponent doesn't discard, then it becomes their issue and they can be penalized for it. And I agree to the degree.
I'm not a judge, and that's the one thing that is in this game is that you sit there and we all sit down on the player meeting. The judges go through very clearly that this is a pro level now. There's a lot of things that we had to get right. There were fixable, reversible things, but you got to call a judge, right? In that instance there, a judge was present, that discussion was had, and the ruling from the judge was set as the trigger's been missed, and they all moved on. What people just need to know is that, like when you watch a sports game and that foul happened and the referees made the call, and you could be like, oh, that's not a foul. Oh, yeah, that was a foul, or whatever. It doesn't matter. The ref has made their choice. That is it. They've got that free kick, and and that's what's happened, right? And then you just get on with it, right? You don't have You don't have this whole thing on Twitter where everyone's going, well, maybe they do, right? But nothing's going to change. It is what it is. Just think of it like you're watching a football game. And yes, America, football, and in UK, football. 2 different games, same name, but it's the same thing. The judge made that choice. It is what it is, and you can review it. You can look at those LSS and the judge team, can relook at those policies and make that choice around what is a pummel trigger. Is it a thing that is required? It's mandatory. It's something that needs to be intervened, or it doesn't need to be intervened. But in that game, in that moment, that was the judge's decision. It wasn't appealed. It didn't go up to the head judge. Harrison didn't appeal of that. He accepted that ruling, and so did Jamie, and the game continued.
Sure.
Done.
That's it. You're exactly right. In terms of the letter of the law and how that happened, everybody's putting this on Jamie, and it's not on Jamie. And those people who were discussing the fact that it's poor sportsmanship, no, it's not. I don't think it's poor sportsmanship. I think that it's just a high stakes game in a high leverage situation. Now, if he was completely aware, then he was aware. And Harrison missed his part of the deal, which was to declare the trigger. And for those who are unaware, you have to declare those triggers, otherwise they are lost. That is a fact. That is and that's the thing, is that people are not going to know, because a lot of these players that are very vocal about how that went down are the same ones that go 1-3 at a Battle Hardened and never have those types of games where these things matter. And that's not a criticism to them. That is just the fact that if you were playing a win-in for that top 8, you damn well be sure that if there was a missed trigger, you're not going to be the one to hit reverse and say, well, hold on a second, I'm taking a couple extra damage here, or I'm taking this, or I'm taking that. That's not going to happen. And I hate to break it to everybody, but it's not just Jamie, it's absolutely everybody who's ever played on camera in a top 8. If a trigger is missed, they are not going to concede the trigger back to their opponent and take that L, or take that detrimental effect towards them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's not. I know. The thing is that what someone will show up to that point that you said and go, well, actually, and they'll bring up this piece of paper or whatever to have a counter argument with, and I will just say to that person that does, right, that you're probably right in one context, but it's not, again, Jamie's fault. You should probably take this as a sample of, we should just remove the players and just look at this as it is, right? Remove the what is that? Is it right that someone should miss the trigger? Is it mandatory? Is it not mandatory? Should it be called? Because there is a thing now with these new policy updates where there are certain things that can be reversible. Should I announce a Viserai every single time I play a Runeblade card after I played a non-attack action card? If I just played the card and then just went, yes, and then I'll just get a rune chant while I'm midway attacking, they'll go, oh no, you've missed that. And they'll be like, well, okay, well, let's just call the judge. The judge will just literally show up and go, well, he has to make it. It has to happen. So they will just go, has anything happened? They'll just go, look, there's your rune chant, done. That's what this new policy, from how I'm looking at it, has to happen, and maybe there is an argument that someone will say, yeah, maybe someone should have reversed that, or shouldn't have reversed, should step in and say that you should discard that before we continue. You must discard a card, blah blah blah. But if that's the case, that's something we've got to look at and move forward with. We can't just look at that game and go, well, that game is just whatever. The judges made a call. It wasn't appealed by Harrison. It's that you've got to just accept that what's happened is what's happened. The judge made the call. They're going to stand by the judge's call, because that's what you do in any sports game, any competitive game. When a judge makes a call and that is it, that's it. It might be wrong sometimes. That's what happens in sports games. Referees make calls, and was it the right call? I don't know, sometimes a bit questionable, but it is what it is, and that's the call. And then you look at it for the next season or the next game.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it's going to work in this one. And yeah, you should just not take your anger out on the play. You should just come out of this, everyone, with a bit of empathy, right?
Get mad at me. Get mad at Hamish. We could take it.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's just rock up with a bit of empathy. Now, maybe Twitter is probably not the best place for it, and maybe when it comes to the conversations around the aftermath of all of this and seeing a bit more on Twitter, I think all sides could probably turn around and say we could all handle this a little bit better.
Sure.
Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe cheating shouldn't be the word that's been thrown out there.
Of course not, because it wasn't cheating. And a lot of people like to immediately land on that word because desperately deep down they want somebody to be a cheater. They want somebody to, because...
We need a heel.
Oh, you do need a heel.
I've heard your pocket. We need heels.
You
right?
do. Yeah,
I know people don't want to be a heel.
You have one that he just didn't make top 8. That's the tough. He finished like 17th or 23rd or something.
We might have 2 now. Like, you never know.
Look,
the UK is just a heel machine at this point,
which is great, by the way, because UK
I'll
does.
Be a heel.
Yeah, UK produces some excellent heels, I will say. But the thing about this, and if people want to go down that route and say, well, you have to declare it, then you have to declare it, and this and that. Sure, but there needs to be this middle ground, because there was a recent poll put out by Josh Lau, somebody whom I respect and love, an incredible player and voice in the community. And the tweet that he put out could have probably been worded a little bit better or specified.
Always. Is it on Twitter?
Yes.
It's always going to be worded better.
Sure.
It's Twitter.
But I think that this was definitely in reference to what occurred in the UK Nats. But the question was, if you hit somebody with Command and Conquer and they have a card in Arsenal, do you declare that they have to blow up their arsenal? Or sorry, if you're on the receiving end, do you wait for them to say that they have to be, that you lose your arsenal, or do you just keep it, or do you just do it automatically? Now, obviously, there's no context about what level this is played at, what REL level it is.
We'll say pro.
Sure,
done.
But if that's the thing. Now, I just said yes. I just answered the thing yes, because again, it's all about shortcuts, and this is the danger of if we're going to go down that route of one extreme or the other. Is it all assumed, or is nothing assumed, wherein, hey, if that's the case, where you have to declare everything, I'm going to call you out for pitching before you play a card, because technically that's not the rule. The rule is you...
Is that the world we want to live in?
Well, that's what I'm saying. But that's what bothers me about this. In high leverage situations like that, you probably should be aware of the fact that your pummel should peel a card out of your opponent's hand. But at the same time, in round one, turn one, if you blow up your opponent's arsenal with Command and Conquer, and I'm on the receiving end of that, I'm just going to get rid of it, because again, it's just, that's the way it goes, and I don't want to be that person. But this wasn't the difference of this wasn't losing a D-react from Arsenal. The consequence of this was going to the finals of Nationals potentially. I mean, obviously, Jamie said that it didn't matter in the end. He was in a command.
None of it mattered.
No,
he left the Pummel tie.
But
he could have just popped the thing.
True, but that's not an excuse for it. Ultimately,
it's not an excuse.
But at the same time, for those who are taking the position that Jamie played dirty and was sharking and was, and again, the people who say it's cheating, you guys are out of your mind. Like, that is, you're on another planet.
No, he didn't shot the guy. Everyone sat there and went, right, yeah, you missed the trigger. And the only person in that entire universe is going to know what was going on in his head and what decision and what was going on is Jamie, right? Everything else is just, well, this doesn't feel good. So my feelings are fact. Complete garbage, right? Your feelings not a fact. You're just going to assume what you think the intention was. It's intent. At the end of the day, you can take that, but sometimes what you think is intent is just probably just not the case. And sometimes the judge ruling or the outcome of something goes against the narrative or the intent that you perceive it as it is, right? And then you get angry, and then you go on Twitter. You just got to look at it and go, right, let's just strip this all back. What has happened? We just need to, I think it's just a lack of respect to the judges at the end of the day, that when people are going off on this, it's like, hang on a minute. A judge call was made. You're also disrespecting what Harrison is accepting the judge's ruling. It's, if we want to have this conversation around, should players be well equipped with the information of knowing that if they feel that they're in the wrong, they have the right to appeal a call. They have the right, and he did say to the judge, I've missed that, and the judge went, okay, well, it was a missed trigger. He has the right to appeal that judge's decision, and then they can come in and make that call. And if they turn around and say that's what it is, then that's what it is.
Right.
Done. And then afterwards, you then review what is that right or is that wrong. Don't go nuts on the player who, I don't know. I was there. I still don't know what transpired. Did he intentionally just not discard a card? Did he just sort of look at this just like everyone else and going, what the hell? Why is he playing CNC Pummel and not blowing up the tumble tie with this as a Katsu player? All of us were just like, for a second, just got completely blindsided by that whole move in general, and just kind of went, oh, okay, I guess I'll just take the damage. And then Harrison went, yeah, cool. And he just drew up, right? I'm all like, yeah, okay, cool, that just happened.
Right.
And everyone who's watching online has just got this other vision that sometimes when you're in there, You're very better. You're much better at being a gamer as a backseat driver, right? And then it comes to like, going, oh, hang on, yeah, hang on, and it was like, hang on, he didn't do that. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Even all of us there were just like, sometimes you can just miss stuff, and it's just not intentional. Now, maybe Twitter, like I said, and I think maybe I'll just wrap it up on that side. You've seen the arguments of what people, Jamie's been saying on Twitter, and how what people are responding back on Twitter. The whole thing is just a load of rubbish. I think everyone should just stop a sec, because no, there's no gain now. Everyone, our side, everyone's side, Jamie's side, everyone against Jamie, everyone for Jamie, all that. It's just nonsense. And every time we're just throwing fuel on the fire, it just has this whole vibe of what happened 2 years ago, and everyone went bonkers bananas with Matt Foltz doing his stuff, and then he's like, oh God, and everyone's like, and I said it last time. Jamie's an extremely lovely dude, extremely talented individual, and then we are knackered as hell. We're on the internet and we're answering back.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, don't bother. It's not worth it. People and for everyone replying back, it's just nonsense. It's Twitter. It's all Twitter nonsense. I'm reading all this going, I mean, it doesn't sound good, but I know the dude, so I just know how it is, right? And then when they're replying back, I'm reading comments from other people going, oh, that doesn't sound very empathetic of you, but I've also spoke to you, so I know. But when you're reading it like as it is on the internet, it's like headlines on the newspaper. God, this doesn't look good. Right? Doesn't look good. Sure. And there's no context or information to this headline. Good. But geez, it doesn't look good.
Good news doesn't sell. And the thing about to wrap this up.
No, I know. I said some good stuff. And the second I put, yes, the UK Pummel's week, I've got way more likes.
The fact is that if you're giving criticism to Jamie Faulkner, then you should also give criticism to Harrison and to the judge that oversaw this. So if you're saying that Jamie was bad for missing it, well, so then Harrison is also bad for not declaring it, and the judge is also bad for not making an incorrect ruling. So what is it? Is it that was the wrong play, and that the judge was wrong, and Harrison was wrong, and Jamie was wrong? Is it that you just don't like it?
By all of them. No,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I stand by, I think, all of them.
I
that
agree,
moment,
100%.
What it is. Yeah, it's dumb. But we should look at this as a sample and work out what mandatory trigger really means in a professional level event, and go, this is clearly a thing that is got you emotionally, right? And then it's made you sort of really think about what does a mandatory trigger really mean. And LSS has made that policy, and again, maybe they thought it was clear enough. Maybe it's not clear enough.
Yeah.
Maybe it isn't. Maybe it is.
They had that big investigation 2 years ago about Matt Folks and whatever. And what's funny about
that's a whole different thing.
It is a whole different thing.
And they missed the Pummel then. I mean, it didn't attract this much of a level of craziness.
Well,
no.
What's fun is
Pummel missed this time.
The conversation that occurs again on social media and such, being that there was a reply that Matt Folks made to James White, who retweeted the episode where he was on last week, and we're talking about the fact that Matt Folks is a heel and James likes him as a heel, and that's awesome. And Matt Folks replies in total kayfabe of being, who, me? Like, I'm not a heel, blah blah blah. Which it's all tongue in cheek, it's all for fun. And then I retweeted that, and someone commented like, and this is the perfect snapshot for all of this. I believe the comment was something along the lines of, I don't know anything about this. All I know is that he is somebody who is like a cheater or something like that. So you don't know anything about it, but you know this. And that is essentially the perfect flavor, the perfect spice sprinkles on this Sunday, which is
you basically demonstrated about you. It's an amazing demonstration on how the human race operates on most things in life.
Sure.
When it comes to politics or work, the stuff that goes on, he goes, I have no clue, but I'm strongly on this opinion. It's like,
Right.
cool. But
Yeah.
that's it's literally how human, stuff works. By the way, that whole Matt and Folks didn't want to heal thing, I was like, damn, this guy's turning into Kurt Angle when he goes out on stage. He's like, I'm not the heel, and everyone goes, what?
Yeah,
It's
you
like, oh,
suck.
no.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you
I
want.
don't- Kurt Angle was clearly the heel, and he's like, oh, I'm the goodie.
Yeah. And then he turned like comedic, and that was the best. We need Matt Folks with that little cowboy hat that Kurt Angle wore.
He could actually pull off the Union Jack Kurt Angle like thing and come in.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
coming in like
singlet?
that.
Yes, he
Oh,
can.
yeah, dude, he's like the only person in the game that can do that. I mean, unless there's other ripped individuals. But,
Yeah.
this guy could come in, and he would. I'll tell you what, he actually would. I just know he would. He rocked up in Chain, didn't he?
He did, and he would do it.
Yeah.
I mean, he puts the work in. The dude is an absolute workhorse. Like I've never seen somebody more dedicated to things that he is passionate about, be it physique and health, like and physical health, as well as his play in Flesh and Blood. The dude is arguably the hardest working person. I mean, the only other person that I think plays more than he does might be Brody Spurlock, who just goes to absolutely every event. The dude's at 5 armories a week plus weekend battle hardens. Like the guy is just constantly on the road. But Matt Folks is in the lab working hard, constantly. It's an impressive feat. And when Pro Tour Lille occurred, he was on my list. We did a draft. He was, I think, my number 2 pick to win the event, and he won the event. And I didn't doubt it for a second because he earned it.
Oh, just as much as anyone else, right? This is when everyone else is in that Pro Tour, they earned that spot. And there are some fantastic players. You need to have a lot of skill. You need to have a lot of great games, great reads on making plays in moments, and you just need to have a sort of sprinkle of luck on matchups and card draws. And you watch the final of the UK Nationals, right, with Alex Chitu, our UK champion, by the way, and another person, honestly, that should be in that spotlight of people to look out for in the UK. We've got Jamie Faulkner, who's a fantastic player. We've got Matthew Folks. We've got Rob Catton, a top 8 worlds player, and Shamir, he's semi-finalist in the Pro Tour and almost got again into a top 8 in Pro Tour 3. And Alex Chitu, who is a guy that if you actually just see you'll see his name in the top 16 in most big events everywhere you go. He's like, there he is again. And he was top 8 in the UK Nats last year. That dude high rolled Jamie so hard in that game. And even he said, bro, I'm not going to lie. That was like, he played Dominia, come to attack me. I revealed my hand to have 2 Channel Mount Heroics, a blue Earth card, and some other card, right? Jamie, of course, banishes the Earth blue card because your hand is garbage. I will block this Dominia with a Crown of Providence. I will sink the rubbish card. And what did he draw? He drew a blue Earth card. Wow. That saved the entire game. We all know it. And if it didn't happen, the game would be totally different. But that is how card games work. You just need that holy moly that he did a Hail Mary and he caught it and it won the game. Wow. Like, there's no way they would have won. That was the only way he could do it. And he did it. And that's how winners get across. And even non-stream games, you should have saw the game Alex was playing before this, right? You saw the Katsu Dromai game. In the meantime, there was an 1.5 hour long game of Drinthia versus Alex, and Alex was setting up a fatigue plan, and the deck had rights of replenishment, and he decked out a Dory on Axe. In the end, it took an 1.5 hours. It was a long time. A hell of a lot of skill was played. And yeah, do you know what I mean? It's just, there's a lot of stories that just don't happen. And when you just see people that come to the top, they'll tell you, yeah, I'll tell you what, when I played that Three of a Kind, I did have Rain Mazer. It's like, yeah. Did you plan that on your first cycle? No. I drew it. And even my story in Nationals, I had the worst deck in the draft pod ever. I got a 2-1. Do you know why? Because I drafted Soul Food, and 2 of my games, I started with Soul Food in hand as Prism. I went, cool, I play Soul Food. 4 cards in Soul. Your turn, Mr. Bolton. And it's the only way I can win. And then the next turn, they cut my deck, they shuffled my deck, and the other opponent went, you got to watch out, he's got Soul Food. And he went, well, okay, Hamish, you can go first. I was like, all right, cool, bro. 1, 2, 3, Soul Food. Bang. How lucky am I? I managed to walk away from the draft pod with a 2-1. I need that luck. And then people go, oh, well done, Hamish. You came 24th. Bro, you don't understand, right? I played well, and I got lucky. And I also made some great plays. I lost my games because my opponent also made some fantastic plays and pitched some great cards. That's how the game works. So, I don't know what my point was now.
It doesn't matter.
I went on a ramble.
This is the show, and I just want to circle quickly
my
back.
My daughter's going to join in the show as well.
Hello.
This is I do apologize.
No, there's no apology. Let's get her take. Hi. Say hello.
Say hello. Is Viserai the best player? Is Viserai the best hero? Yes, good girl.
Okay. Well, she clearly is suffering from UK education system, but it's okay. We'll figure it out. I do want to circle back quickly to the Josh Lau post. I understand the intention of what that poll was, which is the fact that for the most part, the overwhelming majority of players just instinctually respect the triggers as they occur. That's, I think, the point that he's trying to make here. He's not. I don't think that poll was a direct critique of.
I get it, because you know what it needs? Empathy. I literally went, I get it.
Yes.
On the written words, maybe it could have been dressed up a bit better, but a title of every book on every headline on every newspaper could probably come with a bit more. But if you actually take a step back and empathize that point, obviously the whole conversation was clearly all about having. I've just lost my train of thought now. Having the conversation on, do we need to declare mandatory triggers on every single point? And the answer is, of course, we don't want to live in that world.
No.
Why would we want to live in that world? I've got to remember so much. I don't need to remember things that just happen, right? And maybe there's tunic trigger arguments and stuff, and maybe there's this and maybe there's that. How easy would the game be if everything was just railroaded? You can't miss a tunic trigger. It's impossible, because if you said whoops, okay, just take it. And they're our best games. And do we want to see a perfect game, or do we want to see a player play a perfect game? Maybe that's the question everyone's probably trying to answer. Some people want to see a perfect game being played and seeing the player's skill around making the right sequencings of decisions when they're playing their cards, but they don't have to think about the cards actually delivering on what's happening. If you watched a game of Gwent, right, or Legends of Runeterra, there's not going to be a point where the cards don't do what they do. They will do it. You just rely on the player to play it in the right order. That's the perfect play, and the game will do what it will do. And we're now asking, well, it's not, right? You've got to remember, you've got to actually tell the game to do what it's got to do. You've got to be very good at that and very good at sequencing these cards. Is that the game we want? Perfect plays from a game, or a player making perfect plays and remembering to execute every play. It's some people will argue with column A and some with column B. I don't know where I sit. I personally think that if every point of the game was just like, no, you will never miss a trigger. These triggers will happen no matter what, until the turn is over, and you just went whoop. We both ended the turn. We both draw up. Everything that happened before is done. But if we're still in this moment, if there's some executed mandatory triggers that have to happen, then as long as anything hasn't been played, you see what I mean? I'm trying to come up with an argument, a reason how I can do it. And I'm just already got flaws in my own logic, right? It's all, we have to just sort of look at it as it is and go, I suppose the answer is, has anything happened after this point? No. Well, then let's just get it sorted. Yeah. Let's just get this fixed. Did the opponent take damage from playing when you played Skies and then played Shrill, right? And Shrill just got a 7 because we're not even going to think about it. It didn't. But you didn't put the rune chant in there. Right. Do I get my rune chant? No, you missed the trigger. Oh, for Christ's sake. Come on. So now you're going to tell me that my Shrill isn't coming in for 7? You're going to tell me it's coming in for 4 because you took 7, bro. Can't have it both ways, right? It's dumb stuff like that. Just go, just shut up, man. Just give him the rune chant. Like, it's not, nothing's just happened. Just the rune chant's there. Christ's sake, like it's not a big deal. And if at the end of it, they turn around and went, for example, I hit you with Nebula Blade. You took 4 damage. Did you make your rune chant? No, I didn't make my rune chant. Cool. We're just wrapped up next turn. And is anything happened for you to have this rune chant there? Well, depends how far on we go. I'll play this. I forgot to make a rune chant to play my reduced to rune chant defense reaction. It would have been free if I had the rune chant. It's like, did you miss it? Bro, just give him the goddamn rune chant. Nothing's happened. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it's just there. Yeah. It's just there. Just do it. And maybe the judge could have turned around and went, well, again, it's hard, isn't it? We've moved on to the point where a new hand has been drawn. You can't just turn around and go, well, can you just discard that card? What card?
Agreed.
What card? What card? I've just drew a new hand. It's impossible to resolve this now at this point, unless you want me to put these top 3 cards on the back of there. Are you going to trust me? It's just like, it's too messy. If it feels too messy, that's probably the point where you can't do it. But if it's completely like, this is simple, like my rune chant example, like this is not messy. Just have it. That's when it feels like, that makes total sense. It seems obvious, right? I don't know. That's my ramble.
The ramble, it makes sense. I think it's just to a degree, some people just want to feel smarter and call this out and make a big deal out of it, but it's not a big deal. So that we're just gonna put it to bed.
Don't worry. It's not really a big deal. US elections and Brexit, they're big deals. They're the real deals. They're real deals.
What is the biggest Canadian scandal that we've had in a while? I guess our prime minister is getting divorced, and and everybody's like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Bitch, please!"
I thought it was him dressing up as Aladdin was the worst thing.
Oh, that was a terrible one. That actually that
was pretty bad.
That busted out January of 2020, and boy, do we have some that just set us on a nice journey into a wonderful 2 or 3 year period of just all hell breaking loose. But I'm not gonna.
Everyone's got something.
Of course, that's a pretty bad one. Don't get me wrong.
It's a pretty bad one.
But in the grand scheme of the world, it
doesn't look good, but it's not going to kill the country.
Yeah,
not like Brexit. I mean, that doesn't look good, and it's killing the country.
We got through it.
We got
through it. Let's talk briefly because I think that it's funny because when we were setting up this episode, you mentioned, are we not going to talk about the Pummel situation? I said, we are. Don't worry about it. I'll throw it on the notes. And then that was 45 minutes of our discussion, which I think is justified because it is probably the spiciest of...
It's the topic of the week,
yes,
for sure.
It's the soup du jour. So we're going to move on to the...
That's very French of you. That's Canadian. Of course, it's French, isn't it?
It's French. We're French. Let's talk a little bit about the Living Legend program here, just briefly on your thoughts here. And the first one is the debut of Living Legends at Worlds, I think, is going to be pretty unique. And everybody's just been waiting for this format to show up as new heroes are moving into it. But then we got the information that it's everything. Everything that's ever been printed is legal for the first foray. So I want to ask you first, is this how you envisioned the Living Legend format to be?
No, but I also don't mind either. Like, I generally did think, well, if it was everything, what was the wait for? Like, do you know what I mean? I'm really excited that it is everything. I'm really excited that they turned and went, they should just, just full Wild West format. It's everything we've ever printed with no bands, go nuts. And I said to a few guys at the UK Nationals, wouldn't it be funny if this was more balanced than the actual standard CC? Just because if everything's broke, it's all balanced, right? You can't all be this insane. Although I still think Starvo will completely just destroy everyone, like regardless of how much Chain has got Dustblade and Seeds and Fi's got Stubbies and Briar's is errated, so actually, she genuinely can never be that broke ever again. But it'll be funny to see if this is going to be more balanced or not. To answer your question around, is this what I expected? No, not really. I was kind of expecting to just have a format of, see these guys that are very good, it's just them. But then again, that does sound pretty boring at the same time if you don't play them. So let's just throw everything in. Yeah, that's really good. Why did we have to wait this long for this?
It's a good question.
We could have just done this like from the get-go.
I think that there was just a situation where probably like the way that you're treating this is like some sort of like eternal or legacy format, or I don't know what it's called. Wild in Hearthstone is the other where everything is the way it was printed except for Briar's errata. And I actually had a conversation about this with or was around during the conversation with Brian Gottlieb about this, and Brian's logic, which I think I wholeheartedly agree with, is that an errata is a mistake, not so from a balance perspective, but there was a miscalculation about what the card was meant to be. So the errata is what that card was meant to be when it was printed. It is just merely an oversight or something that slipped through balance, but this is what the card was meant to be all along, and it just one more.
That would Become the Art Knight, which probably a lot of people do not know. That Become the Art Knight had a completely different print. Yeah, no, Become the Art Knight in its original form was not printed the way it was. It literally had a mode like E-Strike where you had to pick one of them. It said you have to pick one of them, and then it was just a minor. No one actually noticed. It's just so minor, no one cared. But they did errata Become the Art Knight to you may pick one of them. That was it. That's all they wanted to put, May. But they went, whoops, we forgot to put May in. Complete errata changes the card in a big way. But I actually do have two Become the Art Knights, and if I ever show this to anyone, they'll go, well, the text is totally different. Like one has bullet points, the other one is just all words. So yes, they do make erratas to fit the card intentions, and Briar's was completely right because it was insane.
It was insane, and
like most Tales of Aria things, it was insane. That one was particularly insane.
And they addressed it and they fixed it to what it was meant to be. And what you mentioned about how Starvo being by and large the big boogeyman of the format, I'm getting discussions and arguments from all sides here. I've got you saying Starvo is hands down going to decimate everybody. I have people saying thank God because we get to finally play the most powerful deck in the game, which is Skeleta Viserai. I have people saying that.
Just so you know, it was there, right? Just as a heads up, it was there as a legal hero when Starvo was about. I can tell you, I did it. I showed up with Skeleta and Viserai, and Starvo was present. Viserai would have lived in legend out of existence if Starvo wasn't printed at the same time. He was broken beyond all belief.
Agreed.
Maybe he's in a different planet because now there's a lot more cards that generate a lot more rune chants, and it is genuinely insane now how much rune chants and how quick you can make it in by turn 5 or 6. But Starvo, man, if you don't kill him, he'll go, oh man, after all these Oakenolds back to back, and I almost got you, and you almost killed me. God darn it, awaken him.
Yep. And then like free pulverize. Yep.
The free pulverize after this horrible spirit bomb you just laid on me. Oh golly. Stavo is it's insane. And when you all go through this process again of trying to play him, you're just gonna go, my God. And they go, yeah, we're not alright him. This is intentional, baby.
Well,
it's very thematic, isn't it?
Stubby's Fi is getting people saying this is the unbeatable deck because it can do 45 damage in a turn.
Just one Oakenold though, bro.
Well, right, you gotta get there, and I totally feel it. There's those who are saying that Seeds
Did
Chain.
You kill me?
Seeds Chain with Revel and Runeblood and all this stuff, that's going to be enormous. Then there's the people also arguing the fact that, hey, we get Luminaris back and all these cool heralds and stuff, like that's going to be the top dog. So what I like about it, all this is basically to frame the format as everybody has an opinion and everybody has what they believe is going to be the top dog. But I think that until we actually get down and dirty, it's going to be one hell of a slugfest. All I know is that decks like Lexi that are kind of running the show in terms of aggression right now and that kind of reach are going to get completely humbled by what real old school OG aggro oppressive decks like Starvo and Chain were able to.
I don't know if I agree. I think
let's go.
Honestly, I think people are going to get their eyes opened when Lexi gets Ball Lightning back and go,
oh right, Ball Lightning.
Yeah, you don't know your damage of insanity that the Ball Lightning gave to Lexi. It was, and now there's even more cards for Ranger with Outsiders, and Bullseyes is back with all the Ball Lightnings and all those lightning cards that just amplified all that damage, and then go, oh, look at all this damage you've done. You go, yeah, and then Blood Rot, and oh yeah, here's my quiver as well. Am I done? No, we're not even close to being done, baby. Let's go. It's fun. This whole thing sounds absolutely amazingly fun. And then, little does anyone know, Prism is going to sit there and go, don't worry about Starvo. I dealt with Starvo before. I was the only reason I was relevant because of Starvo, right? In that time period. And I was very strong. She'll just sit there and sort of deal with some things. And it's just, when you think about it, it's like, wow, this all sounds broke. I'm quite balanced in a weird way. It does seem quite, really cool. And there's lots of different archetypes sitting in that top. I'm just sort of, again, why did we wait this long? What were we waiting for? Because, we're waiting for the party to fill up and went, so that everyone get him. Yay! We're waiting for the gig to begin until 4-5 people showed up and they just went out. And that's cool. I think they just had to make a choice. It's the same as everything, isn't it? I give LSS their dues. They had a plan. Maybe the plan was just like they had a vision, and then they had to change that vision as they went on. And they just come down to this, right? And they went, okay, we've kind of just did fill the 5 seats to kick off this Living Legend format. And they just looked at all 5 of them and went, man, that's boring. What happened? And everyone, when does Viscerai get to play with Skeleta again? This conversation's come back up. Probably never. Probably for years to come until we give Viscerai the means to reach that place again, and then all the Skeleta decks can come and join the hot tub party. That does sound pretty darn boring. Let's just do it now, right?
I agree. I hear you on that one. I think that there's just may have been a situation of like too much too soon. If you are trying to hype Blitz, you're trying to promote UPF, and now if the Living Legend was there all along, I think that there was a fear that would have just been the default format that everybody would play. I think there's a situation here where LSS and James just wanted people to get well acquainted, and I wouldn't say addicted to CC, but like just understand that this is it. This is the format. We're going to hide this nice little gem behind the curtain. And when you guys are all entrenched in CC, when everybody is so invested in classic constructed and competitive format, which this is, then we'll pull back the curtain and say, by the way, we had this spare room all along.
Yeah, maybe. But I am actually curious that if they'd done this and everyone turned and went, just want to let you know, LSS, this format with everyone being legal and everything being unbanned feels balanced. I wonder if they'll go, oh no, honestly, I just don't think that will happen.
I don't think it will happen either.
No, I don't think it will happen. But it will. They'll probably do some more tweaks. But I wonder if they turn and went, or a little bit, maybe we did ban some cards a little bit too soon. Maybe some cards did need to be a bit unbanned a bit. Because when you watch it all unfold. Yeah, Winter's Well was ridiculous.
So
I'm with you.
I was given.
We all know it's Crown of Thieves.
I lent to one of my friends from a former Gwent pro wanted to get into Flesh and Blood, and Icelander was what he wanted to play, and didn't have any cards. So I basically lent him everything. I lent him, the tunic, the this, the that. Like a stack of like $1,000 worth of cards. And he played in the tournament. He had a great time. And he knows that I was eyeing a cold foil Winter's Whale, and he bought it for me as a thank you for lending him the cards. And then they announced Living Legend format. And all I can think about is the first Living Legend tournament. If I'm not casting it, you damn well sure I want to be there playing it because I just want to be around it. I cannot wait for this tournament to occur. And obviously the first one's going to be at Worlds. But if there's a calling, a battle hardened, or anything with major stakes involved with the Living Legend format, I am so there.
Yeah, I feel the same. I got a Dustblade Cold Foil. I was one of those guys.
Nobody even thought about that. The card that got banned before it was even released,
Yeah, I got that card in Cold Foil. Aww. But it was broke, don't get me wrong. Like in chain, it's pretty wild. But, I know what you mean. Rosetta, man, I don't see the problem, right? And everyone's like, oh, this weapon's crazy. I'm like, nah, this weapon made, Viceroy have an endgame. Like, I'm not gonna lie. You're gonna see hell on earth now on all these Viceroy players when they go, oh man, my early game's really good. Oh, my mid game's insane. Look at how much damage I'm doing. Huh? Why can't I close the game out, bro? Because you know what Rosetta did? It did 1 damage. It did 1 damage. That's all you needed. And I'm a guy that came into this game from Crucible of War, and I know the pain of Viceroy. Right? I was there when there was no Sonata. I was there when there was no creepers and there's no Rosetta. This dude could do some insane stuff. Yes, built on Skeleta being able to make that possible. Christ, now I don't, who knows now. But Reaping Blade comes in for 3 for 1. Yeah, it makes sense in the cost curve world. But I tell you what, man, you try and do that to Bravo and they'll go, guess I pitch to stop the Rune Blade, and I guess I block your Reaping Blades, and it's back to me again. Yeah. And what are you going to do? I guess I'm just going to continue to do nothing to you? Yeah, you're damn right. Anaphos for 4. I guess I block 3 and take 1. And I guess my turn is 1 Reaping Blade. And you go, I lose 1 card. You lose 1 card and lose 1 health. I lose nothing. It's horrible. Whereas Rosetta went, yeah, you know what? Take 1. Even Oldham was like, oh my God, I have to do all this stuff to make sure I don't take 1. It's like, yes, this is what Rune Blades needed to close the game out. They need this. They really do. So, yeah, we're going to be sitting in a long... I'll be saying hello to Azalea and Riptide for a bit.
I love it.
Maybe not that bad, but, we'll be sitting there, at the backstage for a little while.
All right, so we're going to do a little Patreon tier 3 exclusive content here because they give me the big bucks. So we got to give them something special, which is...
Oh, I know that, yeah.
Hamish is going to talk about all the nitty-gritty, all the behind-the-scenes drama from Push the Point podcast. Because don't say anything now, because that's for the patrons. So if you want to go to patreon.com/instantspeed, you can sign up for as little as $2 a month. You can give me a pat on the back and a coffee. And
you want to know what Simon was wearing on that day? Do you really want to hear what Tripp said on that time? The only way you're going to know is signing up to that Patreon.
I love it. I love it when I don't even have to cue you into this. So, friends, that is for our Patreon Tier 3 exclusive listeners.
Thank you. It's what we need to hear. I will have to say, though, just to wrap, I'm going to have to wrap up on this point, is that we all could be better, but just let's all just empathize on the point of There's some. We've all got skills. We're all very good at quite a lot of things, right? And empathy, everyone.
Good
Take
way
that.
good way to end that. And again, I want to thank you immensely, not only for being such a wonderful guest, but also for stepping up for your boy Simon, who we all wish a swift recovery. And if you can, my friend, tell us where to get more Hamish, where to get more Push the Point. What is what's going on?
You can get us on YouTube, Push the Point on YouTube. We're also on Twitter as well, Push the Point on that. You just type Push the Point in pretty much everywhere now. Google's actually doing us a pretty good job. So you can catch us on Spotify for our podcast, YouTube for our videos, and Twitter for just following our general day-to-day stuff. That's it. And we've got a Patreon as well, so check that out. But I have got to bounce.
Beauty. All right, friends. Thank you so much for listening to the Instant Speed podcast. Check us out on Patreon, instantspeed.com. Patreon.com/instantspeed. And our wonderful sponsors, kayfabecards.com. Be who you want to be, Kayfabe Cards. Until next time, you're not losing if you're learning. See you next time on ISP.
Well, I work